What's up, everyone? So today we're talking about an exercise called skiers. Now these are somewhat of a unique exercise. I haven't seen them anywhere else. I'm not going to claim to have invented them, but I basically invented them. And these are my favorite rear delt movement. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to perform the exercise, what is proper technique, a few different variations, the muscles used, and how to program them in your training so you can get some sweet ass rear delt gains. So this exercise is actually very simple. You just lie down on an incline bench, pick up a pair of fairly light dumbbells, and then swing them back. The hardest part of the strength curve is going to be at the top. So I suggest a couple things. First, you want to pause in the top position, or at least try to get a slight pause, a slight contraction. If you're not feeling that contraction at the top of the movement, you're better off lightening the weight a little bit. You also want to keep the form fairly strict, not super strict. You can swing and cheat a little bit, but for the most part, you want to be feeling the rear delts. If you're swinging a lot and you are not feeling the rear delts, you need to be a little bit more strict. If you're swinging and you're still feeling those rear delts, then you're okay. The most important thing is going to be feeling those rear delts, feeling that burn, that pump, that contraction in the upper back. You can also do them seated as shown here. In order to get a full contraction in the rear delt, you'll need to play around with your torso position as well as where your elbows are traveling. As you can see here, my elbows aren't tucked in. They're flared out a little bit. If you tuck your elbows too much, you're going to feel a little bit too much of your lats and not enough of your rear delts. There are plenty of movements for lats. You'll want to do this for the rear delts, and thus you should flare your elbows a little bit. In terms of the muscles worked, it is going to work a lot of rear delts. However, it is not a fully isolation movement. It's really hard to work only the rear delts without working other muscles. So the traps are also going to be very involved. You can see them contracting here. The upper, the mid, the lower are all going to be very active. The side delt is also going to contribute a little bit, plus the lats in order to bring the arm back. Again, if you flare the elbows a little bit, it's going to work a little bit less lat and a little bit more rear delt, which is what I would recommend. Also, it's going to work the triceps. If you look at the long head of the tricep, it attaches from the elbow up to the scapula. So the long head actually is assisting in bringing that arm back. In fact, how I stumbled across this exercise was I was doing tricep kickbacks, and I would feel it in my triceps, but I would also feel it in my rear delts. And so I modified the movement a little bit to where it was more focused on the rear delts. And in fact, I feel this more in my rear delts than traditional rear delt raises where your arms are off to the side. In terms of programming, it's a very safe exercise. It's not working a huge amount of muscle mass, and so you can go close to failure for a lot of sets and a lot of volume with high reps. So if you look at the strength curve, it's actually hardest at the top part of the range of motion. So you can go full range of motion and go to failure and then do 3/4 reps, then half reps, then quarter reps until you are just a sniveling bag of destroyed human meat flesh doing tiny little baby partials. Then you can drop the weight and go back to full range of motion and rinse and repeat. So I've done double drop sets, triple drop sets, quadruple drop sets until I'm just using my arms as body weight. And this can be extremely effective for blowing up your upper back. In fact, I won't even typically count sets or reps. I'll just do these for 10 or 15 minutes at a time, get in as much volume as possible. Yes, progressive overload is important, but on this type of movement, it's more important just to punish the area. So in something like a squat or a deadlift, yeah, you should track your sets, your reps. It's going to be really important to keep that in your training log. But for this kind of thing, just attack the muscle, because that is going to be what causes growth. It is also worth noting that this is not an accessory exercise, so don't expect this to help your bench press or your deadlift or your pull-ups or anything. This is for the sole intention, the sole purpose of getting you some fat, thick, sexy rear delts. So it won't actually help your strength, it's just going to be for hypertrophy of this specific area. Alright, that is all for today. Make sure to like the video if you like this kind of content. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed for some very strange and bizarre reason. and I will see you in the next video. Peace.